Hi, I'm Gemma Montgomery and welcome to the Excel with Ease podcast, bringing together service-based business owners in the aesthetic, beauty, medical health and wellness sector. Here we discuss different topics that will help you grow your business with ease while supporting your ultimate life vision. Hi there, welcome to this week's podcast episode. Sorry it's been a while, it's been a little bit hectic at work and then we've had the Easter holidays. So again, on a lovely dog walk, well I say lovely, it's a little bit windy and dull this morning. But this week I wanted to talk about when a boundary is violated within your business and when you need to enforce a boundary, protect your energy and ultimately protect your finances as well. And I'm going to talk about a recent experience I've had where I've had to take one of my clients to the small claims court. So it's been a little bit of a journey for me over these past 16 years. And if you listen back to a lot of the podcast episodes, you'll see the challenges that I've had to face on an internal level and how really going inwards, introspecting, looking at what holds you back, where your blocks might be, where your wounds are, how reflecting and really making a pact with yourself to uncover all your blockages reflects in the outside world. I'm a big believer that you create internally first. You create internally and then the outside kind of shifts in reality to meet where you are internally. And a big one for me over this past kind of 3 to 4 years has been looking at the masculine and feminine energy that I carry within, which we all carry within. Whether you identify gender-wise as male or female, we all have masculine and feminine energies within us. So I'm not going to talk too much about that subject today, but what I'm going to go through about my experience of taking somebody to the small claims court has really shown me how I've really been balancing these energies, looking at where my wounded feminine is, where it's been showing up within my business, which has been huge, and where I've really needed to anchor in my healthy masculine energy. So again, might be getting a little bit woo-woo with you, but bear with me if you don't feel ready for that kind of stuff yet. Let me just talk you through my experience of having to take one of my clients who was a regular client, which made it more difficult. She'd been with me for 16 years, albeit she kind of drifted off for a few years recently and then came back when I decided to set up my memberships for clients. So this lady, similar age, known each other for 16 years. We've talked about some really kind of personal, in-depth stuff from years back. I've watched her get married. I've watched her have a child, really seen the journey of life that she's been on and didn't feel offended when she disappeared for a few years again. I've really worked on that. I'm not precious about things like that now. When she came back and wanted to sign up as a member, I welcomed her with open arms and it was lovely to see her again. So if you don't know, if you've not listened to the other podcast episodes, I set up memberships within my clinic about a year and a half ago now. And it's been amazing. It's been life-changing. It's really helped to give me some inner peace, some inner calm, reset my nervous system, which was kind of all over the place at times. You know what it's like if you're self-employed or you're running a business. The worst part of it is the ups and downs of not having that consistency that you get with paid regular work. Whereas memberships, you know, at a certain time of the month, the membership money comes in and it just gives you that little bit of inner peace, knowing that the membership money is coming, you know where you're at, you can organise your stock and your flow a little bit better, you can plan in your business. The benefits of it are just, life-changing. But obviously I have a lot of clients that are not on memberships as well, which is great. So it's nice that I've just had a nice balance of both. So this particular lady came in on the June cohort. So I open 2 cohorts a year. January and June, which again is going to be changing soon to just once a year. But she came in June and wanted to sign up on a bespoke package. So I've got 3 bespoke packages. One that's 166 a month, one that I think it's 199, and another that's 269, I think. I can't remember off the top of my head because I've got 17 packages. But basically, it was a tailor-made plan that I would plan out for her for the next 12 months, what months to come for what treatments, space things out nicely, plan it around what her life was looking like throughout the next 12 months and whatnot after an in-depth consultation. And then she would basically pay for those treatments over 12 months at 166 a month. And when they come on as a member, they do get additional perks as well. So what started to happen was she would come for the treatments that were planned out. Again, it's a loose structure. I don't say to them, you must have this treatment on this month. They can play around with it a little bit, but it is good if they stick to the plan. So this particular lady, she would come and suddenly change what she was having. She started having treatments quite close together between the period of June to October, which looking back now, it was a little bit of a red flag, well, a big red flag. And again, I should have enforced a boundary really to say, look, can we really stick to the plan? But again, it's difficult when those lines are blurred, when you've known each other for so long, you've developed a little bit of a friendship. And, for me as a practitioner, I kind of thought, well, it's okay. If she has treatments close together, she might have things coming up why she wants them sooner. When it gets to the back end of her plan, it'll start to even out. And I won't have as much stock to buy for the treatments that she's having. So that was that. So she started in June, paying the 166 a month, had lots of treatments really close together. And then when it got to the October, the payments suddenly stopped coming. So she did reach out, which was fine. She said to me, I'm really sorry. I've had an issue with my banking. We've been hacked. We're moving house. Just give me a little bit of time and then I'll sort everything out and I'll update my payment details. So, that's completely plausible. Of course, things like that happen. And of course, I'm going to be respectful of that and give a little bit of grace. I'd been hacked myself at the time, so I completely understood. So I left it a month, had no correspondence, and then I reached out with an email, just an automated email relay that the system will do where they can just update the payment details. Did that, didn't hear back for a while. When I did, the communication was quite short, brief. It was all done via email and basically said, I've not had a chance to update them yet, blah, blah, blah. I can come in and give you, some money, which it's not really doable. It's all got to be monitored in the back end so everybody knows where they're at. It just keeps it good for them, good for you. So I gave her a little bit more time, and then I did say to her when it was taking a while for her to reach back out, I said, look, you don't have to stay on a membership if you don't want to, but what I need to do is reconcile what treatments you've had up to what you've paid in between June to October. So she said, yeah, that's absolutely fine. That'd be amazing. So I knew then that she didn't want to stay on the membership. So I went through the treatments, saw what she'd paid in and the treatments that she'd had. And there was still something like, I think it was about £1,300 difference that was still outstanding. So I let her know that. I gave her a breakdown of the treatments and I heard something straight away. We queried a few things and then said, no, this is obviously, I've checked everything out on the system, everything's tracked, this is what you've had. And then I didn't hear anything again, so I just sent the invoice and then heard something back straight away where she said she couldn't possibly pay back in one go. She'd have to pay me a bit and then a bit further down the line. Now, at this point, with the back and forth messaging, it was now February. I'd not had payment till October. So she didn't ask me if that was okay. Would that be doable for me? Can we come to some agreement? She was kind of leading really and saying, this is what I'm doing. You're not going to get all your money, basically. You're going to get it when it's comfortable for me. So again, this is where you've really got a feeling to your own energy. Was this doable for me? How would this make me feel? And no, it wasn't doable for me. So I basically responded and I just said, no, it's not doable for me. It's now February and I haven't had anything since October. I said, but what I can do is I can create a link where you can pay the invoice over 3 months via Klarna or PayPal Pay in 3. I said, but it means I get the amount back fully. Obviously minus the percentage that these kind of platforms charge, like Klarna and PayPal. So that was that, and I just didn't hear anything, just nothing. So a couple of weeks went by and I thought, no, I cannot let this slide. And I then sent an official email, which basically said, you've got 7 days to pay. If you don't pay the balance, still using the Pay in 3 link, that would be absolutely fine. But if you don't pay, then I'm going to have to go down the official channels. So the email got sent and I just didn't hear anything. And part of me, the old me, I guess, all these kind of feelings arose again. So feelings like, oh, is it really worth it? I know it's not a huge amount of money, it's 1,300 quid or whatever, but is it really worth it? Can I be bothered with the hassle? Is going to small claims court going to be too much? What will she think of me if I take her to the small claims court? All that old stuff kind of coming to the surface. And it was almost like really calmly, something else took over in quite a firm but detached kind of way. And the way that I saw it was, well, no, Gemma, it's theft. Had she have gone into a shop and taken some products and then just decided that she wasn't going to pay for it, would that business have stood for that? And why should my business be any different? So it's time to get your big girl pants on, as some would say, and really remember that you are running a business. So you're not running a hobby. And if you're running a business that you're taking seriously and you want to be taken seriously, then how would you act in these kind of circumstances, given that it is essentially theft, and that inner power takes over? And if you're looking at the energies at play, the wounded feminine is the one that's kind of really bothered about how she's perceived, what people are going to think of her. Oh my God, am I going to be seen as a bitch if I take someone to the small claims court? Does it make me a mean person? Should I just let it go? It's not worth the hassle. And when you really start to utilise the kind of grounded sort of masculine energy within you, the one that's in a way, providing the kind of safety container, you can have a really nice balance of both energies. So you can lead the action. So I actually felt really calm, really quite detached. I didn't really have any hatred towards her or dislike towards her. It was just really working quite factually with the things that were presented to me. Treatments had been given, treatments had not been paid for, plenty of opportunity to kind of sort it out, and nothing was being done. So it was a case of just taking that inspired action. This is my business. This is how it operates. This is what needs to be reconciled. So I went onto the government website and I thought, oh God, it's going to be a really kind of arduous process. It's going to be complicated. And actually, it was so easy. Now, what I must point out is before I did this client had moved. She was in the middle of moving house. So that was a big thing. I thought, things need to be done officially. If letters need to be sent, I really need to have the correct details, the correct addresses. Now, if this happens to you, I just want you to know that it's perfectly legal to use a tracing service. It's what many landlords do if tenants have done an overnight flit and they can't trace them and things like that. So I think it cost me something like £50 to do the trace, and the trace was brought back like within the same day. So I had the address, and then obviously I had to give the address when I was filing the small claims incident. So you literally go to the government website. It's really straightforward. Obviously they need your details, the person that you're making the claim against details. You need to submit evidence, timelines of what's gone on, things like that. It sounds complicated, but it's not. It's pretty straightforward. I think it took me probably about 45 minutes. That was all. And again, if you've got a good CRM system, everything's logged. Appointments are logged, reminders are logged. Everything's there really, which does make it a lot easier. So I basically just logged everything down, and then the claim instantly gets submitted, and then the small claims right to the person. I don't know if they send an email as well, and they basically give them a timeline of something like 2 weeks that they've got to make a final response. So they can respond in 3 ways. The first way is admit complete fault and then submit full payment by the 2-week date. I think the second one is they can apply for an extension. and they can ask to pay in instalments, but that's only allowed if you as the business owner agrees to that. And then the third one is that they deny everything, and then it has to go down the court route, which nobody really wants. It's a load of hassle. But I just sent everything off. I felt really calm, really detached, and I thought it's going to be what it's going to be. Let's just see. But I also felt quite empowered as well. So basically, I got a response and the client accepted full responsibility and then said that she would pay by April the 2nd. So it was literally as easy as that. All money came in by April the 2nd, and that's it. That's literally all it was. So that was just a really lovely reminder for me, I guess, of how far I've come as a business owner and how, maybe 5-10 years ago, I probably wouldn't have done that. I'd have thought it's just such a complicated process. Is it really worth it? What are people going to think of me? All those usual disempowering kind of thoughts. But this time, I just felt really calm. I just felt it was a really logical, factual process that I was following. And it was all also as well about the boundaries being violated. This person had signed up. She clearly knew what she was signing up for. She'd had all these treatments really close together. And although she stated that she couldn't pay this back in one go, there was no thought for how was I coping with the loss of money. So yeah, it was just a real lesson in when you need to, I guess, step up and be a little bit brave and do things that you might not have necessarily wanted to do. But when you do them, it's not sometimes as scary as you think it's going to be. And it was actually such a smooth and easy process. And what it also has helped me do as well is it's really helped me kind of tighten up my whole membership process. So now I've made sure that the terms and conditions are fully linked to the tick box when they sign up. The tick box is traceable with dates and times, just so if this ever happens again that I have got evidence. I just made sure basically that everything's just a bit more tight and a bit more robust. So yeah, it's an interesting process, not as scary as I thought. So if you do ever come across anything like this and you're just not getting anywhere and you're just at a loss really, but you feel that you've been done over or somebody's really tried to take advantage of you as a person, your business as a professional, credible business, then it's just not as difficult as you think. You don't kind of realise how far you've come until you're in certain situations. If you're struggling with anything like this, feel free to reach out. It's not as scary as you think. I shall speak to you soon. You take care. Thanks for listening to this episode. I hope you discovered some useful tips and takeaways. Don't forget to please rate, review and subscribe, and as always, pass on to a friend who you think will find this podcast super useful.